Hello, everyone. Welcome. We'll get started in just one moment. Joni, my co-presenter, is having difficulty getting into the room.
All right, let me scoot out of here and go back into another and see if I can help, okay?
Okay, thank you. As we wait on my co-presenter, welcome everyone to our presentation about our innovative program here at National Louis. And just for interest of knowing in the chat, if you can put how many years or experience do you have with competency-based education? On 1 to 10, what is your knowledge about competency-based education? I just kind of want to view, where does our audience stand with the knowledge about competency-based education? So 1 through 10, what do you know, or how much knowledge do you have about competency-based education?
Hi, Camilla. I don't see Alicia in the forum anywhere here, so we're reaching out to her to try to have her log back in.
Okay, I'm in the middle of texting her now.
Right, fine. And I'm saying that if you want to go ahead and start, we'll keep working with her and see if we can't get her in, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Just a second, having difficulty pulling up the PowerPoint. Okay. Oh, here she is.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon.
Please, can you pull up the PowerPoint?
I am not able to do that on my phone, but I am able to join by Zoom. So we can talk a little bit about competency-based education. I'm trying to reboot this technology.
Joni, do you by chance have a copy of our presentation? I'm unable to pull it up. Technical difficulties here. It's going down with my computer right now.
Let me check with Julie and see if she's got a copy. Why don't you guys go ahead and start? I'll pop out and come back in a minute.
Okay.
And I'm restarting this laptop. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry for the technical difficulties. So I will introduce myself. My name is Camilla Wilson. I'm EC Assistant Professor and Competency-Based Program Manager here at National Louis University, and my co-host.
Hi, I am Dr. Alicia Mino, and I am the Academic Director of the Early Childhood Education Competency-Based Program at National Louis University. Thanks for joining me.
Okay, so I have a printout of the PowerPoint, so hopefully we can begin to fully go into detail so you can see our PowerPoint slides as we discuss PowerPoint competency-based education. Sorry for all the technical difficulties. Just giving a little history about National Louis University. In 1886, National Louis University began from Elizabeth Harrison, our founder, and she wanted to start this college to train women as kindergarten teachers. So she believed that the future of prosperity as a community began with the education of its youngest children. So some of you may not know what competency-based education is, and just kind of give you some information about and defining what is that exactly is competency-based education. So students are empowered daily to make important decisions about their learning experiences, how they will create and apply knowledge, and how they will demonstrate their learning. Students receive timely differentiated support based on learning needs and not seat time. The assessments are meaningful. We and provide summative assessments, which are meaningful. Oh, there we go. Thank goodness. Okay. So I want to back up before going over the definition of competency-based education. We have a video that will briefly show to really give you background on what competency-based education is. Can we press play on that?
Then we might move forward from the video if it's not able to run through, and I will see if I can put in a link.
Okay, thank you. So go back down to the definition. Next slide. Okay. So students progress through mastery and not focus on seat time. Their strategies to ensure all equity for students are embedded in the culture, structure, and pedagogy of schools and education systems. It is rigorous. Common expectations for learning, knowledge, skills, and dispositions. They're explicit, transparent, measurable, and transferable. So more about our program. We offer intensive supports, including we have grade 2 content test specialists that work closely with the students who can help them overcome the barrier or passing the required content test for licensure. They can schedule individual appointments with them, or also they provide group structure for them to meet on Wednesdays. 76% of our faculty identify as racially, ethnically, and linguistically diverse. 7% of our population also identify as racially, ethnically, and linguistically diverse. In the fall of 2022, we have a fully competency-based driven ECE program. And in 2023, we started offering our coursework in dual language, in Spanish and English, so students have the opportunity when they log into our D2L portal. The assessments are in both Spanish and English, and they can submit their work in either Spanish or English. So our program goals for the competency-based program is really to focus on those working in the field to a accelerated degree completion, is self-paced within a 10-week quarter system with residency at their place of employment, builds on current experiences, and supports future commitment and professional growth in the field of early care and education. This, like I said, this is an accelerated path, BA degree, which prepares them for their Pell, preparation education license, with your ECE endorsement, EC level 5, and ITC level 5 credential. So that's your early child education level 5 and your infant toddler credential level 5 on completing the program. So the format of our program is completely online. 10-week quarter system. We offer courses year-round, so winter, spring, summer, and fall. We recommend that students attend our Competency Coffee Shop, which happens every Wednesday from 7 to 8 o'clock via Zoom. Students log in, and during that time, all the professors teaching those competency-based courses will be in breakout rooms, and the students can move about each breakout room depending on how many courses they're taking with their professors. And they are able to ask questions about the assessments. And it's really a time for them to meet with the other students and connect with their professors. And Dr. Mena will go over more in detail about the Competency Coffee Shop in later slides. So this is kind of the structure of our program. It's designed for those working in the field. The requirements to get into our program: you must have an AAS or AA degree, level 2, 3, or 4 ECE credential. You'll complete your general education courses, which is typically about 30 to 35 quarter hours. And you must show Gateway's credential upon enrolling to the program, just so that when we have that, we'll know what level you are. So those entering at a level 2 credential will take level 3 courses. So we're trying to avoid you taking courses that you do not have to. You'll have your ECE competency level needed for your courses for level 5 ECE competency courses. And then we also have several professional learning journey choices. So here are some options that students have the opportunity to explore as a learning journey. So we have our ECE Pell licensure pathways, which will lead to your licensure, your Pell license, level 5 to Pell modules. We have ESL bilingual education and your early childhood administration. For those in infant toddler non-licensure pathway, we have your ECE courses, level 5, your infant toddler studies, ITC, and your early childhood education administration pathway. So this is just a sample schedule. So for students who are entering to our program with a level 4 credential, this would be a sample schedule. If they started in the spring, they will take their level 5 courses, your ECE integrated pre-primary methodology and early childhood education. Then you have your credit for prior learning opportunity, which is EDU 420, which is a practicum. And then you'll take your 1 to 2 general education courses. In the summer, you'll continue with your level 5 courses. You'll take your EAL foundations and your speech 401. Special ed. And then 1 to 2 general education courses. For the fall, you will begin to focus on your learning journey courses. By winter 2024, you'll complete your general education. And then finally, you will complete the remaining of your learning journey courses. You will have the option if you would like to add additional learning journeys, but you can just focus on one if you like. And I'll turn it over to Dr. Meno to talk about our Translanguaging Framework.
Thank you, everyone. And thanks again for your patience with our technology at the beginning. As Camila mentioned, our CB courses are in a dual language format. And so we have a screenshot here of what that might look like. And you can see that there are 2 tabs, and you will have the option to have all your resources, instructions, assessments in English, or when you click on the tab in Espanol, you can have the same option to have your resources, your instructions, and your assessments in Spanish. So you have the option to study and learn in either language, and the student also has the option to submit in either Spanish or English language. And it is important to mention that it was not just translated, but also all the resources were curated specifically for these courses. So all of our courses are in the translanguaging format, and that is what we support. Our credit for prior learning is something that we launched this year with our competency-based students. And as most of us know, credit for prior learning is a term that is used to describe someone's previous learning that they've gained outside of the traditional classroom. And so for our students in the competency-based program, those are our workforce students who have years of experience and knowledge, not inside the traditional classroom, and they have the opportunity to earn credit for their prior learning through the Credit for Prior Learning program. And the benefits, of course, for credit for prior learning for these workforce students is that less time is invested as students are given credit for their prior knowledge and experience, and all field experience is completed at the student's work site. And that's very key for our workforce students. To continue on about CPL and how it is different than a course, for CPL learning, it does not offer an instructor. There is not content to learn and master with modules like a course. For credit for prior learning, there is an assessor, and this credit for prior learning provides opportunities to demonstrate evidence of your prior knowledge to learn or to earn that credit. So it's a little bit different of a mindset for both the assessor, the faculty, and the student. The credit for prior learning does not have weekly mandatory due dates like a course. All evidence of prior knowledge is submitted to the LMS before the last day of the term. And credit for prior learning offers the opportunity for all field experiences to be taken at the student's workplace. Again, really enabling equity for that workforce student. And then, as my colleague mentioned, a significant component of our competency-based program is the Competency Coffee Shop. And this really promotes a community of practice. As our format is an online format, this is an opportunity to come together. And so for our Competency Coffee Shop, we have some participation requirements, as this is a synchronous Zoom opportunity that's held on Wednesdays from 7 to 8 p.m. And students have an opportunity at this time to meet with their CB instructor for an informal question and answer, and for that opportunity to collaborate, to connect, and form that community of practice. Students come prepared to the coffee shop, as our professors always prepare a video each Monday to help guide and lead the students regarding their summative assessment and through the knowledge in the modules. And instructors are, of course, on hand at the coffee shop to provide any additional support that the student may need. The feedback that we have received has been positive about our competency-based program, and this is specifically student feedback. We do host a feedback session where our director of online operations and associate professor comes in to collect feedback from the students in a focus group study. And here's some testimonials from the students. A student tells us that they like CB because it's a great opportunity for those who are already in the field. But if you're coming in with no prior knowledge about education, it's not going to work as much. So obviously having that experience is key to the success in this competency-based program. As well, a student commented that in traditional classes, they have too many weekly discussions, and as in the competency-based format, there are not the weekly online discussions. And a quote from our director of online operations, Neil Green: students really appreciate having the chance to have their voices heard, and that will only help them build community and student commitment to National Louis. And finally, most students say that yes, they would recommend the competency-based program 100%. So
I just want to also give some program highlights about our program, which is really unique for students and faculty who students first receive an orientation. So that first start of each quarter during our coffee shop, we have a student orientation. We go over the program, we go over D2L. We also have guest speakers there to help support them during that time, so they have an overall understanding of the program and its requirements. We also have a faculty orientation. So prior to the quarter starting, we meet with faculty who will be teaching those courses, because it is a different way of learning and teaching. And so we have our faculty orientation with our faculty who are directly working with those students in the program. We'll be teaching those courses. And also one of the requirements for faculty, each Monday, they provide an audio video of the summative assessment that is due for that week. We do not require due dates. They have 10 weeks to complete a summative assessment, their coursework. We just highly recommend to stay on track that each week that they submit a summative assessment. They are not penalized if they do not submit one each week, but we just highly encourage. So every Monday, the instructor will submit a video going over the summative assessment, and students can log into D2L and review that summative assessment. We also have a CB advisory board that's led by Dr. Minnow, and that comprises of different faculty and different different educators and faculty that work here at NLU in varied positions. And we have this group to, gain their, just perspectives on things that we are working on. Dr. Alicia Minano, if you want to kind of talk more about that CB advisory.
Absolutely. The CB Advisory Committee was put together this year, as Camila said, with different faculty members from our department, not only in the CB program, but also in the traditional program and those who are focused with early childhood education. And we meet monthly to go over CB program updates. And as well, we always have a discussion point. And I think it's very significant to have all faculty involved and have a contribution in a voice in this development, and to see how competency-based is playing in other areas. As well, it's an opportunity to look at supports for competency-based students, not just academic or educational supports, but also supports within the university as well, with advising, financial supports. And so having more stakeholders in a CB advisory committee is very helpful when developing this program for students.
Thank you. And also to acknowledge our students in the pilot, we started the program in the summer of 2021. We started with 50 students, and 17 of those 50 students actually graduated in December. We did have some that dropped, and we also had some that switched over to traditional. The remaining of the students will be graduating in June here at National Louis. And so for those students that graduated in December, we had an award ceremony where we acknowledged those students individually, and they participated in that via Zoom. Did I forget anything? I think I've highlighted, and also key person, part of our program, we have a student success coach, which is key in this program, which is Nelly's Mosqueda, and she works closely with those students. So time those students are enrolled in the program, she provides support for them. She goes over their degree plan and answers any questions they may have asked. She is their support throughout the whole program and works with them closely to ensure that they are successful during the program. So that is key position in our program to provide those students quick response time and being able to feel supported if they have any questions. And she meets with them on an individual basis to provide that support. Dr. Marilyn, if you kind of want to talk about our student teaching option, which is really a benefit for those going into licensure option.
Absolutely. We have created for CPL with our credit prior for learning an option for those who would be subjected to traditional student teaching requirements. This allows the student to stay in their workplace, as these are workforce students. And for this credit for prior learning, students are able to put together a portfolio, pulling evidence from their experience at their centers, at their home daycare. And of course, they are in the field continuously working 5 days a week, at least 40 hours a week. So they're always having those hours available to them in that way. And so this portfolio gives them the opportunity to stay in their workplace, to complete the student teaching requirements, and to demonstrate evidence, not only of any new knowledge that was mastered, but all of their experience and all of their knowledge from these years of experience of working. And so this has been a very equitable and beneficial opportunity for the students as they are able to continue in their workplace while they meet the requirements for student teaching and gain the licensure.
We have a question. It's asked if this is self-paced and can students complete one course and move to the next? Well, it's self-paced within a 10-week quarter system. So if you complete all the modules within the course within 10 weeks, you're done. You must pass each assessment with a competent or distinguished. So for us in letter grade terms, it will translate a competent translates to a letter B, grade of B, and distinguished translates to letter A. So within that 10 weeks, you have typically the courses have between 4 to 7 modules where the competencies are embedded within. And if you finish those 7 within the 10 weeks, you are done with the course as long as you've passed your courses with the assessments with a competent or distinguished. But you will have to wait till the next quarter to take your next courses. It's not in the sense of once you finish, you can just register for your next course. We're not at that rate yet.
That's correct. It's term-based in that way. And usually students take about 2 to 3 courses.
Yeah.
Term. So it is not just one at a time. They can take 2 to 3.
Alicia, another question was, can you provide more details about how your students were assessed through the PLA?
Through the credit for prior learning through the portfolio. We've developed a rubric that measures the competencies that are required for the student teaching requirements and for that level. And we've developed activities that demonstrate evidence to meet those competencies. And they are evaluated with an assessor using the rubric in that case. And the portfolio usually will include the teaching philosophy, the resume. They're creating an analysis of program policies. They are looking at professional collaboration. They're providing lesson plans that they've created, a video or videos of their teaching where they're receiving feedback and coaching. So the requirements that you would find in a traditional student teaching course are present. They're evaluated by demonstrating those competencies, and they stay at the workplace to do so.
Are there any other questions that we can answer for you?
We definitely have found this program to becoming popular. We have went over our targeted goal date for enrollment, and we have about 121 students at this time in the program, and students waiting to get into the program. And when we listen to the students' testimonials, it's a program that serves the student, and especially the student has years of experience who can put that experience into good use and be awarded credit for that experience and then achieve their licensure.
And it's really great because you can do it, complete the program 100% online. You know, as educators, we're working during the daytime, and you come home and you have to take care of your family, and it can be pretty challenging leaving work and sitting in a class in the evening. So this is really geared to those working in the field, and you can complete your assessments at your site, in your classroom. So students really enjoy that. They enjoy the flexibility that they do not have to worry about, you know, something being due by Sunday by midnight and having discussion questions due on Wednesday at midnight. So they can really be flexible with their schedule. They're not penalized if they do not submit anything each week. We just highly recommend, because 10 weeks can go by fairly fast. So just to stay on schedule, we just kind of, you know, each week during that coffee shop, remind students, submit one each week, just so that you can stay on task. And you don't want to wait until that 9th week, because you may not have a chance to resubmit. So we allow students to continue to resubmit until they get a competent or distinguished. They're not penalized if they don't get it right the first time. They can continue until they receive that competent or distinguished each time after they submit. We recommend that after that second submission, in which they do not fully understand and they're still getting into developing, that they schedule a time to meet with their instructor one-on-one to provide additional assistance and resources for them to successfully pass that summative assessment.
And we really believe that it takes a mindset for competency-based education, with working with, faculty or working between programs in the traditional program, because it's not about student seat time or how much time they're putting in. It's about them demonstrating competency. And if they can do that in less time, that's not where our focus is. It's on using their experience and knowledge and having them demonstrate the competency, assessing that, and letting them move forward. And so a bit of time given to some some mindset on understanding what is competence-based education is really important when undertaking CB work. Are there other questions in particular about the program, the students, curriculum, translanguaging?
Yes, Marilyn, you're on mute.
There I go. In addition to the portfolio, I was just wondering, was there ever any assessment of written work? I'm assuming that they're turning in maybe some lesson plans, or you said there was a written, I guess it was their philosophy piece. That was a written part that was is all of it in the context of a portfolio?
Yes.
Or is there any testing of any sort?
There is no testing of any sorts, but there
Okay.
is definitely writing components. When the
Okay.
students are doing an analysis of program policies for culturally relevant pedagogy, for example, they're doing a written analysis and they use
Okay.
references in APA format. When they're working on a professional collaboration presentation, it's a written analysis addressing questions about teacher professional development. So they also have the opportunity for the videos for the coaching component to give the feedback on their teaching. They do submit lesson plans. So they show that type of writing that they're competent, you know, in lesson planning in that way. They can write their teaching philosophy, or they can create an audio or video of their teaching philosophy as well. And then they have their updated resume. And some students choose to put all of this evidence on a Google site as a portfolio, you know, so a digital portfolio. So it's really portfolio in concept, but they're really building these separate activities to make the portfolio.
Okay. Thank you.
No, not at all. Thank you.
Another question we have is, what writing supports, goodness, let's see here, let me go back in there. What writing supports have you needed to provide, and does that happen in-house at NLU and more broadly?
Yes, that's a great question. Students, sometimes workforce students coming back to school, I'll even say myself, you know, and it's been years, you have to have APA formats at times, you know, when you return in that way. And so we provide at Learning Support, we have a writing support specialist, and we have a learning support team internally at NLU. We are tracking our students' progress and supporting them. And so approximately every 3 weeks, well, weeks 2, week 5, and week 8 of the term, we are able to notify students, coaches, and advisors if students are needing support. We can reach out to the student directly, but we can also have support internally. And so we recommend and then have a formal process to refer a student to writing support. And there at Writing Support, they can have help, both skills with building their writing or building their essay, as well as completely with APA format. So there is a system built in place to support students who need that support for writing. Yes.
And students
Sorry.
also have the, students also have the opportunity to submit their papers to Tutor Time during, which is housed in D2L, and they have 24 to 48 hours, and their paper, once they submit it, it'll be take between 24 to 40 hours for it to be looked at, and they will work with the student. Also, I try to provide during each quarter during the coffee shop library services to come and meet with the students. They provide a presentation, they go over library services, APA formatting, how to research for articles and information. So that's also very helpful to the students. Marilyn, is your hand still up, or is that a new question? Can't hear you.
Are the students all lead teachers already? Are they assistant teachers when they are working with your program?
So with our program, it's just required that you have entered the program with the AS or AA and have a level 2 Gateway's credential. So the positions vary. We have home daycare providers, we have lead teachers assistants, some are parent educators that come from a variety of different educator roles working in the field.
Okay, thank you.
You would just also in addition need access to our early learning center. So because these summatives are focused within the classroom, you will need to have access to a classroom. So if you are considered maybe a parent educator, or you're working through a site, do you have access to that classroom to observe children or look at the classroom's lesson plans and et cetera? Any other questions? Are the same adjuncts instructors teaching CBE and traditional multiple sections? Good question. So right now we have like a core group of CB instructors. Some are full-time faculty and we do have several adjunct. I like to try to keep it consistent so the students in the program really get to know those instructors, but we do have some instructors that are teaching both traditional and CB. And Dr. Meadow, you are also one of those that teach both, right?
Yes. And yes, and maybe that's why I mentioned the mindset and mindset of faculty, because it's not just, oh, well, so-and-so is an expert, in, special education, so they can just teach CB special education. It's just really not that concept, because you're working with a different type of student. The student has a different type of need. You're working with a different type of concept of curriculum. So I do think it's important to have some professional development around competency-based and to really understand for a faculty who's interested in teaching in competency-based, what that means and what that, dedication is. For example, if you're working with competency-based students, they're not going to be able to meet until after 5, 6, 7 p.m. because they are working. So you need to kind of switch your mindset and have that availability in the evenings, and you're more serving as a coach in that way to guide them through the assessment. So it takes a bit of a mind shift sometimes to go back and forth between traditional and competency-based.
And just to add to that you, as a faculty, you have to be, if you're teaching the courses, you have to have the availability to be available on those Wednesday evenings, because those students know on Wednesday, all my professors teaching those courses, those CB courses are available during that time. And I can pop into that breakout room, ask my question and move on to the next instructor. So it's almost like your office hours during that time, and students look forward to seeing you there because they know it's a one-stop meeting that I have the option to meet with all of my CB instructors during that time. So it is really a mind shift when you're working with these students. As Dr. Meadow stated that, they're working during the day. So I meet with students at maybe 6 in the evening, 7 again in the evening, because I'm accommodating their schedule and really walking them through those assessments and really meeting their needs. As Dr. Meadow said, it's really like a coaching position, because you are coaching them through this program and getting their mind shift different in completing these courses.
Other questions? Oh, sorry.
Any other questions? We have like 20 more minutes. So if you have any other questions, feel free to ask in the chat or raise your hand. Marilyn?
The population that you're working with is the population that the ECA scholarship is serving pretty much. So,
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
so, I'm sorry to just be asking so many questions.
Oh, no.
I am wondering, because I am finding that the experienced students, they really don't need the lab classes. They don't need that. And so I am wondering, are you able to share your rubric for the classroom teaching, or anything like that? I mean, I have somewhat developed something that I'm using, but I was just wondering about something maybe better. And it's time consuming to create all these rubrics and the evaluation criteria and observing. Right now, I'm observing students who, in my opinion, they are really good teachers already. I don't really need to be running across God's creation trying to observe them. I'm just wondering, how I can make my work easier and more efficient. That's all.
Absolutely. I'm putting my name in the chat, my email in the chat. I don't know if you can see it, but if you send me an email, I can attach that rubric for you and track it down.
Okay, so your name is.
And that's my email, and I am.
Oh, I see it.
There we go.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome.
Anything that you could share would be great. I don't need to recreate the wheel, so to speak.
No, but your comment is right. These students have so much experience. It's not a good use of their time, to be involved in the labs or,
Or mine.
Right. Good point. Good point.
Bertie, you had a question?
I have so many, but I appreciate this so much. So I work at Lewis and Clark, and I'm the coordinator for the child development program here. And you're on my list of people to stalk. But I am working on changing our program into a competency-based program. I've been looking for a curriculum designing coach because I want my adjuncts and myself to do the work to make it our own, but with some support, like a CBD expert. Those are not easy to find. Also, like, my initial thought was that we'd camp out over the summer and change all of our courses into competency based. But now, but now
we know that type of summer. We had that type of summer.
We're not big enough though to have both a traditional and a CBE program. And our president is moving towards CBE, and I think we can support the workforce better with CBE. But I also have a lot of students that get accommodations who might not be CBE ready. And so I'm trying to figure out how you found that balance. I know you do have two programs, but how do you figure out how to balance both, I guess? And you're much bigger than we are. So, but I'm the only full-time faculty member in education and child development. And so I'm relying on our, right. I'm relying on our adjuncts a lot, and they're with me and they're excited, but we've got writer's block right now where we're ready, but we don't know what we're ready for. Did you use a coach, I guess, is question one. And question two is do you intend to keep both pathways, the traditional and the CBE long-term?
Let's see, what should we start with? Which
Right.
Yes. Okay. Let's start with two. I think the two is going to be cleaner and quicker. Yes. At this current time, NLU still plans to keep both the traditional and CB pathways. So that's affirmative at this time. In regards to course development, how many courses are you talking about over there at Lewis and Clark?
There are 15.
Okay.
But I just started a Montessori assistant training that's not going to work. So not all of them are going to, but that's kind of an exception. But the majority of them, I would like to do the thing. I feel like once we've done a couple, then we'll be able to roll into all of them, is my thought.
We did work. We had some training and some time with Charla from CBEN last spring before we worked on taking all of our courses over in that way to CB version. And that, gives a mindset and understanding, of kind of the curriculum development process. And then we worked with subject matter experts as writers.
Okay.
And some of those were our own faculty, and most were, but some were also sourced out. And CBEN did do a few courses for us.
I've been having CBEN is overloaded, I guess everybody's calling them. And so I have not been successful. I've called, emailed, everything. I've not been successful in reaching them, but I've heard good things. So I'm glad to know you use them.
Yes.
Yes. And we also met one time. You can check out Strut Learning as well, because they're also connected to CBEN, and they might be able to get you an appointment quicker or something.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Is another one as well. And so it's really kind of that mindset and that mind shift, because it's not rewriting everything and throwing away all the content from your traditional. You have the content, but you have to, instead of, the discussion posts and all of the little things, you have to take and understand what is the competency really in the traditional form. What is the objective, right? With the objectives in traditional, the competencies in CB, and how do I measure that?
Okay.
And you can see what you have already built in your traditional. You might have some assessments in place to measure that competency, and you start to tweak and build and edit. You create your summative assessments, your formative assessments. But I mean, there's definitely like a sit down time to go through the process. That's just kind of a little bit of the thinking about it.
And I just think it's so important to have a supportive team. We have a great supportive team. We meet weekly, standing meeting, and we really collaborate with each other. So those who are interested in incorporating a CB program, it's really important to have key players that support you, because everyone is not going to support taking a program over to CB. So if you have some key players that you are meeting and really support you, it really makes a world of difference. So I'm really grateful for the team that I'm working with.
That's agreed. And the course development was absolute teamwork. And we worked very closely. Wouldn't have been able to do it without our learning design team member. And she really managed the project in that way. And then we worked with the SMEs, and then we had a process where we then took it for storyboarding. So we hired out for the storyboarding, and then we had a process to take it for translation.
And then editing.
Yes, then after translation, we had editing and, within building the show. So happy to meet or share or connect,
Yes,
in
I
the
love
future,
that.
some specific.
Yeah.
in
Thank
that
you
way.
so much.
No,
I appreciate it.
you're welcome. You're welcome.
Maybe I can see Marilyn nodding too. Maybe this.
Marilyn, did you have another question?
I'm not teaching in a competency-based program, but I have actually attended a lot of their training, which I have found to be excellent. And over the years, I have just incorporated the philosophy. Like I said, because of the college that I'm teaching in, I mean, they're all about the college credit, and they're still doing the transcripts, and they're still doing their own. I can't change that. But what I have done is in my own personal teaching, I have done away with the attendance points. I've done away with extra credit. I've done away with a lot of extra stuff. And what she said to you, I guess it's Bertie, the focus in on what is the goal? What is the objective? What is the competency? And then the assessments or the homework or the assignments need to be meaningful. And so I have operated that way forever. Because even as a student, I don't want to be just my busy time doing some nonsense. So I think that part of the training is just excellent. And I remember one of the trainings that I went to when they did an assessment of a grade, and it's like, what does A mean? What does B mean? What does C mean? And it's the student who got an A because of the attendance points or the extra credit, or they were a good writer. But then they didn't have the competency. It's like, what are we doing? How are we grading? And so in theory, and not just in theory, and in application, I think we really do need to be about can these students do what we want them to do? And how do we know we can do it? And it boils down to that. But the college is not, I mean, they're still doing the traditional things, the college credit, the transcript. I don't even know how to separate one competency out of a course, and how do I then articulate that with something else? Because I can't do that by myself.
Right.
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 And so I'm just going to do what I can do. And I can give them meaningful assignments. I can focus on what the core and the heart of the skill and the knowledge. But I can't, I really can't control whatever else is going on. But I do, the training is awesome. So I just think it is really good. And I think the adjunct faculty need to be involved in that training so that they have the mindset. I like what you were saying, it's Alicia, about the mindset, because that's what it really is.
Yes, it's definitely a shift.
Because as faculty, we just take ourselves out. It's not about us in competency based. It's not, I need this assignment 10 pages by Sunday. That's just not, and that's sometimes a mindset, that all of a sudden, well, that's not my role to micromanage all that. Now I'm in CB, I'm there to guide, to coach. So we work on it. It's a process.
And it's a mindset for the student. I met with a student just yesterday who came from the traditional program and transferred into the CB, and she was like, I'm used to deadlines. I'm used to working on, Sunday by midnight. I said, well, take that stress off of you. You're not penalized. I have to keep reminding her, you're not penalized if you don't turn anything in. We just recommend it each week. So not only for the faculty teaching the CB courses, also the students' mind frame of, changing their thought process on how to complete those assessments.
And the late points.
Yes, no late points. Yes, they were really worried about that. They're like, you sure there's no late points? No, you are not penalized. And even if you submitted more than 3 times, you're not penalized. You're not saying, okay, you submitted it 3 times, so we're deducting points. None of that happens. You can still get an A.
See, I love that. I love that.
I saw someone else's hand up. Kira, am I saying that correct? We can't hear you.
Sorry, I'm calling in, dealing with Wi-Fi all day. But Camila and Alicia, thank you so much. Like Marilyn, and Marilyn, I haven't seen you in so long, Marilyn Tolliver, since our assessment work, but it's always nice to be at the forum and see you. I am jumping on, I live in your world, but I live in traditional structures, and at SIUE, we are talking about the potential of becoming more modularized for our Pathways program that's been around for a long time. But I just wanted to jump on. I've been taking lots of notes. We've been having a back channel conversation since we can't do it in the chat on the Zoom with my team here. And I give a shout out on the screen to Rebecca Swartz and Stacy Kirk, who are here with me from SIUE. Bertie, we just want to introduce ourselves to you because we are the team at SIUE, and we need to get on your radar, girl, because we're on the other end. And so we're introducing, because this is what the forum is supposed to be about, is sharing practice across our awesome state and bringing community college and four-year partners together. So please don't see us as strangers. One of us will be emailing you and wanting to connect as you start this journey thinking along this path, and we continue it ourselves. So sorry, gals, I you to jump in to do that.
No problem. Nice meeting you.
I'm so glad you did. This is so exciting. Thanks.
Well, I know we have just a few moments left. Thank you so much for your time and choosing to hear about our work that we're doing here at NLU. And you can reach out to us. I also put my email in the chat if that's available. They're only direct messages, but you can reach out to us at NLU. My email is kwilson, KWILSON 28@nl.edu. And we love to talk about our competency-based program, and we can possibly provide support to you if needed.
Absolutely. Please do reach out. I see that the chat isn't working.
It's going to
my email. My email is ameno, MENO, @nl.edu. But either one, and we can pass each other.
Yes, we work together interchangeably.
Yes, teamwork is the dream work, I would
Yes.
say, when it comes to competency-based. Nice to see that Kara was chatting it up with her team behind the scenes as well.
Oh, great. It's in the chat now.
Oh,
Stephanie put
wonderful.
it in there. Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
I don't know if they lead us back to the regular room
I
or.
think we're ready to dismiss, if I remember reading the instructions.
Yes,
Hopefully that we dismiss from this room.
Okay.
I'm off to another meeting. Thank you so much.
Nice to
You're
meet
welcome.
everyone.
Nice to meet
Thank
everyone.
you. Thanks for your time this afternoon.
And sorry for the delay in the presentation in the beginning. Technology, just
Technology.
gotta love technology.
Thank you.
Thank you all.